Well, let's jump in with Scotty in Florida, who has some questions about the creation of the Bible. Scotty, what can we help you with today?
Okay, a question that I've had since I was 9 years old when I was going to get baptized, and I was worried at 9 years old that they had me believing pick the wrong religion, you go to hell. So I didn't want to pick the wrong religion, so I wanted to talk to the minister about the religion, and he had. Sure. I had a bunch of questions that he couldn't answer, and I didn't get baptized. My brother got baptized. My family gave me a hard time about it. But from that moment on, I wanted to find out what's the truth. So I spent my whole life in archaeological digs and libraries and stuff all over the world, trying to find out the stuff and learning Greek and Hebrew and Aramaic and stuff, trying to find out the truth. Well, the one question that I don't hear you guys ask these people that say Jesus is God, and this is the thing that drove me crazy and still drives me crazy to this day, is God gave Adam and Eve the law orally. Then he gave it to Moses written because they couldn't follow it by oral. Then he gave it written. They couldn't follow it by the written law. So then he set down the example himself. Supposedly, I'm talking in the theater of Christianity, Judaism. But anyway, he gave the example. And they say that he's God, even though he never said that. They say he's God. All right. Well, if he was God, why didn't he, and he knows all the languages, he knows all the stuff, he knows everything. Why didn't he write the Bible then? Instead of waiting for somebody who didn't even know him, didn't even talk to him 300 years later to write the canonized Bible, which wasn't even truly canonized until after the Jews canonized their Old Testament.
You've got 66 different books all cobbled together at the Council of Nicaea. I mean, this is really central for me. We have people call in all the time and say, my entire house burned down, but not the family Bible, or because God predicted that there would be 7 days in the calendar week, therefore Jesus is in charge, or the Shroud of Turin, all of these different things that supposedly point to the existence of God, but they really make me just want to shake and ask if there truly is this all-powerful, loving being who desperately wants me to know him. Why is his mechanism of communication so shitty? Why is it this ancient Semitic poetry that we're having to rely on instead of some other form of connection? Scotty, it feels like one of those questions where the answer is too obvious to be the real answer, but I think we kind of just have to go with, it's because it's all been sort of sorted out post hoc. God didn't write the Bible when he was here on earth because there is no God, and he was never here on earth. I think we kind of have to leave it there. Is there more that y'all can maybe add to that? Yeah.
Or the Amish have it right, and God is also Amish and doesn't want to use a cell phone and show up and tell everybody that he's here. That's what it is. He only has the book. He's limited by the technology of his time.
He works in mysterious ways.
Yes. That's what it is.
Yeah. I think it's sort of like saying, well,
why did that always got me?
Yeah. Why did the Millennium? Why did he say the Millennium Falcon finished the race in parsecs rather than in time? It's sort of one of these things that you have to retrospectively correct.
I mean, anytime you see something like that, it's because a wizard did it.
Well, magic, obviously.
Right.
Those were all legends.
I believe there is a power, but I believe the power is there's a scientific explanation, and religion is tried to just, if we can't figure out the scientific explanation, we just say it's a God. So I believe there is some kind of force that spreads life through the universe, at least this galaxy, and but it's a force. It's not some person sitting in a chair with long hair and a beard, granting wishes and handing out, blessings and stuff. So
I'd go beyond that and say,
I believe it.
Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, it's more like gravity or time.
Yeah, or quite a few of those things. I'd say that the same forces that ended up creating our sun ended up creating what we now call consciousness, if we can call anything consciousness. It's a series of events that affected space-time and matter and muons and all of it that has yielded this particular result.
Right.
The same reason that Pluto is cold
Right.
is the same reason that it's too damn hot in the summer.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's the same series of forces, and hopefully we don't get wiped out by a random giant wave of gamma radiation ripping through the solar system. Although there's good reason to believe that we're not likely to be wiped out by a giant wave of gamma radiation ripping through our solar system. I checked the other day. So,
Did you?
Yeah, well, there's
These nihilistic bedtime stories just warm my heart and soul.
There isn't an exploding quasar within 300 light years of where we are. So it's unlikely that we're going to die now.
Not
Wouldn't it have been crazy if we'd actually died right then, you guys? Wouldn't that have been so wild?
But none of you would have been around to tell me I was wrong. So, it's like a mentalist.
Yeah, that James telescope has really opened up a lot of things to us.
So, Scotty, I wish I had a more sophisticated answer than, God didn't write the Bible when he was on Earth because there is no God, and God didn't write the Bible, and he wasn't here on Earth. But I feel like that's ultimately what it kind of comes down to. How does that land for you? Is there anything missing or anything else that you want to mention before we move on to our last couple of calls?
Yeah, I would kind of like to mention one thing is that the canonized Bible is missing tons of sacred scriptures.
Biblical apocrypha. Those are some of my favorite ghost stories, really.
And then actually, Scotty, have you read the book Lost Christianities by Bart Ehrman? If you're interested in the Apocrypha and all of that, it goes back to the early Christian church, like particularly in the first couple hundred years before there was Orthodox and non-Orthodox.
That's where I go. Yeah.
Oh, so you've read some.
That's where I go. Yeah.
That was.
And my thing is Constantine put this thing together, the canonized Bible, and to me it's Satan's Bible because it's so full of confusion. And I'm talking in their theater, not inside theater, but in their theater. To me, Satan wrote that Bible because it's full of confusion. And who's the author of confusion? Satan. So it couldn't be wrote by God or inspired by God. And the thing is, I describe it as this: it's a great tapestry. From a distance, it looks beautiful, but when you get close, you start to find little evil pictures inside of it that are nasty and don't conform to what the tapestry appears to look like. So to me, it was a way to control people, and they brought in tithes so they could pay me so I can control you, so you can go to heaven and you be a good person in my kingdom, Constantine's kingdom.
Yeah.
So
it's funny that you mentioned that because that's something that I've put out as a thought experiment a couple of times when people talk about God versus Satan and confusion and all these things. I love pointing out, like, if I was Satan, if I was in charge, if I was actually the big bad evil guy in this universe, number one, I would want to make sure that everybody believed in me. I'd want them to think they were getting the upper hand by believing in me. I would spread things like the greatest lie that the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was telling people he didn't exist. So that way everybody thinks that they're winning by believing in me. I want everybody to believe in me. And then the second thing I want is for everybody to believe that I'm God and that God is me. And I would put out a book full of homophobia and hatred and racism and genocide and misogyny and all sorts of bullshit that's confusing and nonsensical, and it endorses slavery at one point. But there's this other part where it kind of doesn't, so people can argue about that. They could be. I would make it the most confusing shit in the world, and I would make sure to tell everybody that everybody who talks about gender equality and sexual equality and equality of religion and of belief and of working together as one community, those are all the Satanists. Those are the sinners. Those are the bad guys. Remember, you guys don't like Satan. I'm telling you, all the people who want equality, those are the evil people. You should be doing the thing in the book that says that it's good. I'll be doing the same shit, man. And I said that
the most compelling argument for the Bible I have ever heard. I'm actually starting to rethink. I've been waiting for evidence all these years. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, keep going. You're scaring me, but keep going. I'd make it as difficult as possible. And I said that on a show. I think it was here once. I was on AXP or on Talk Heathen once. I gave that thought experiment. And somebody emailed me through my ACA email and was like, Forrest talked about how Satan compared Satan with God and suggested that God might be Satan. But in Matthew chapter whatever, it says that blasphemy is a sin. And so you should really rethink that because you're going to go to hell. And I was like, what's the thought process here on sending me this?
It sounds like you did not consider my
proposition. Got me is at the end of the Bible it says, and nobody should change any word in this or they'll have all the curses. And my thought, even as a child, I thought, well, that's the perfect thing to put in there to make sure nobody changes your word, you know. Right. But something else I like for you to think about is Jesus said he came for the Jew. He did not say he came for the Gentile. Paul said, made it for the Gentile. And I could, as a prosecutor, I could prosecute Paul as being an antichrist with a certain Satanist religion and Constantine helping him forward out. But also the cross, when it's laid down on its side, used to be a Hebrew symbol for Satan. The cross laying down on its side and they threw it out of the alphabet because it was so scary for them, you know. Well,
yeah, I mean, Scott, it's like you said, it's all about who gets to decide what's canon. You know, it always comes down to like who gets to actually write the book and put it all together
and enforce,
but
believe it or be destroyed.
He said, don't erect.
No,
yeah, right.
Whether
said,
that ideology is religious or political,
and worship them. And all the Christian religions have erected that cross that laid on its side, have now erected it and put it in their churches. So there's even more proof that it's a Satanist religion. When God says, don't erect any graven images and worship them, and then the Christians erect the symbol for Satan, erect it straight up, and then they put it in all the churches.
Hey, there's plenty of exception finding. There's a lot to pick apart.
Yeah.
And what do you think Jesus, who said, you know, sell everything you have and give everything to the poor and get rid of all your clothes and just wear rags and just live as impoverished as you possibly can to make sure that your fellow man around you are taken care of and feed the hungry and clothe the naked and you know, care for the sick and the dying. What do you think he would think of the mountains of gold hoarded in all these churches, these massive, what do you call it, frescoes and murals and arts and painting and all these ridiculous, exorbitant displays of wealth that could cure world hunger overnight? I'm sure he would love it.
not just hoarded inside. There's literally giant gold palaces, and then even taking a step back from the details of a particular religion, I feel like in the same way that astronomers have been able to figure out, these are the stages of how a star forms. This is what the beginning and the middle and the end of the life cycle of this particular star is. I think that in the modern era, we've witnessed the birth of religions, and we've seen ones in later and more evolved forms, right? The Church of Scientology is very new, and we saw how it formed, and it formed around a single person that was a cult leader. And it's not the only one we've seen formed recently, and it's not the only cult we've seen formed recently. Some of them expand and become giants. Some of them die when they're small. Some of them implode. Some of them evolve in various ways, but they all share characteristics of being an in-group, out-group following of basically a cult leader type figure. So when people mention to me, what do you think Jesus was like? What do you think Jesus was like? What do you think Jesus was like? I think that he and L. Ron Hubbard probably had quite a lot in common.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair to say.
Well,
Scotty,
we've got an apology for you.
Hey, we've got a bunch of people who have been waiting on the lines that I'd love to speak to before the end of our show. But Scotty, I very much appreciate your time.